Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Happy 2018, everyone. This won't be a long video. I just wanted, to add some very important information to what's been said on one of the shows, and I think it was Bob Fletcher expressing his opinion. Let us hear first of all what did Bob Fletcher say, and then later on I'll comment myself on that. Thank you.
A lot of people ask, why doesn't, or do I think that there will be, let's call them space entities that would come in and assist or help us or salvage us in the last minute before this takes place?
I hope so.
Apparently, they did not back during the time of the Sumerians, because the way the writings go in these clay tablets, the beings that they called Anunnaki, all right, those guys got back in their spaceships and left when they knew it was headed in, and they took off, and they left those mining, very low-level IQ grunts that were back here digging the holes and pulling out the gold and doing that stuff on their behalf, working like slaves, so to speak, or slave entities. They were stuck. They were just there. And the Anunnaki got in their spacecraft and got out of there before it hit the fan. So, anyhow, it would appear, if they couldn't do it then, if they had the ability to come.
Well, you've heard all what Bob Fletcher said, and actually I disagree on that. You see, the thing is, I don't know where did he get his information from, but I think he based his information on the work of Zecharia Sitchin. And this is somehow wrong, this information that he shared, because you see, what will happen after the crossing this time is that we are going to see a mass landing taking place all over the place from those Anunnaki themselves. And another additional information, it was reported by the Hopis and by the Mayans and by even other nations from the Far East, like the Chinese. These non-human entities, or he called them the space beings, usually they do appear after the cataclysm. That's the opportunity for them to appear. So, the information I wanted to share with you all, that it is a fact, and be aware of this, that the Anunnaki, they will make their appearance, they will reveal their appearance in a mass landing all over the planet. Now, you're going to ask me, are you talking about an invasion? Well, this is not an invasion, let us say, in a war. The way they're going to come in a very friendly way, in a very deceptive way. And that's why the great deception, the great deception will immediately start after the crossover of planet Nibiru. And so many people, they bring the topic of the great deception, but they don't know what it is. I even heard some people say the great deception will be after the crossing, many of the Christians will be taken in the rapture, they will be taken away, while millions will remain behind, and that's why they will feel deceived. Well, actually those who will remain behind, they are the lucky one, that they did not buy into the deception, because those who are gonna really buy into the deception are the ones who are gonna accept the offer from these space beings who are led, because the head who is giving the order, the mastermind behind the deception, is Enki, is an Anunnaki. And so people are gonna see a mass landing at each corner of the street. And I spoke about this in previous video. I tried to shed light on different aspects in detail, who is gonna come, and what are they gonna say. They're gonna offer the people that they are here to rescue them, and these are gonna be very handsome, beautiful men and women. That's another topic, because where they are coming from, I explained to you previously. They are coming from the hollow earth, because that's the headquarter of Enki and the fallen ones. Okay, so these beings were brought up in the Garden of Eden, because the Garden of Eden is in the hollow earth. So, but the topic of tonight, of what I wanted to share with you all, please be aware that the Anunnaki, they are planning to appear immediately after the crossover. And that's when the great deception is going to start. So the great deception is not those who are going to be left behind. Because many people, do you remember there is some place in the Bible where they say at the end of times, people will be so confused that they will have to send people to the four corners of the earth to look for an authentic Bible or authentic evangel, because what they're going to see will shock them. This is exactly what we are talking about, because when the deception is going to begin, and this guy who calls himself Jesus, okay, in Latin is Jesus, they call him, because that's not the real name of the Messiah, peace and blessing be upon him. The real Messiah, the son of Virgin Mary, his real name is Yeshua. So what happened is, 80 years after Yeshua passed, the Illuminati, this is another discussion, because I've mentioned that previously also. They are the ones who infiltrated the Christian faith, and they are the one who edited the Bible, and at each translation, because the original evangel of Yeshua was in Aramaic, okay? It was not in Hebrew, because Yeshua spoke Aramaic, okay? So many people ignore this fact. So at each time of translation, they edited something. And I'm not saying the good Christian did that, but these are the children of the devil, the children of Satan, who infiltrated the Christian faith and the Christian church already in early age of Christianity. And they faked in this scenario of the rapture, which Yeshua never said of, So actually the great deception is the rapture itself. Okay, there were other points that were mentioned, in the show. Another question which is very important. So let's hear it, and I try also to add some comment and correction to that one. Thank you.
And people say, well, why wouldn't they save us? Why wouldn't they salvage Earth and do what they could to protect it, etc.? It could be that the blowing up or destruction of something like Nibiru would affect 5 other planets that are more important than Earth, someplace.
Right. No,
You see, it
I
isn't
like
just
the theory where they say that the aliens are leaving us alone because we are our own species and we are responsible for ourselves. And if we destroy ourselves, then that's just the way it's supposed to be. Right?
Okay, but that doesn't bring into account Nibiru. You follow me? You know, on that part of it. You know, the idea that we make our own bed and we got to sleep in it. You know, that certainly is true, and we've not broken any great records in terms of humanity for the last 1,000 years. That's for sure. We are the most messed up thing that you could ever imagine. Where you know, you watch television, you watch the news. What in the world? And the programs that are popular, the junk that's popular on television.
For you.
Go ahead, I'm ready.
This one might creep you out of it. So, like you mentioned,
Analysis of the clay tablets from Sumeria, and that was his story. Okay, so go from there.
So, so what if, when they're about to pass, and since Nibiru is supposedly their home planet or home star or whatever, or one of the planets orbiting Nibiru, so what if when they pass, what if like that whole rapture story is true, and what if it's not, you know, God taking us up, but what if it's these aliens, and what are they going to do? Are they going to eat us? Are they just going to start eating a lot of the population, like cattle?
The big problem is we don't know. And it's my belief, again, it's just from studying just a multitude of things that many years ago I could have cared less. But unfortunately I've been put in a position where I've had to study things that I may not have had an interest in. But we don't know. Let's take the average, these grays that are, you know, been reported as a primary worker that's here all the time, you know, flying in on the different things and doing the experiments on people that have been picked up and all that.
Now, if you don't know, that does not mean that no one else know. Okay? So, first thing is, those beings are not going to come from Nibiru. Okay? They are going to come from the whole earth. Because we have explained to you that the hiding place of the fallen angels is in the inner earth. And there you have also the Garden of Eden. That's the initial place of the creation where Adam and Eve were created. Okay? So, the second, what will happen to those who will accept the rescue from those aliens? But they're going to look like you and me with certain differences, because these are hybrids. This is the result of the work of the fallen angels. You see, when you listen to the abductees, usually they say that those strange beings, you know, whom they saw, they report always seeing the grays. But who are the grays? That's another discussion in itself. But my point being is, the abductee, they report always that the alien took from them semens, okay, whether it's an egg from a woman or semens of a man, you know. So what are they doing with that? And there are some reports also that some abductees have been taken away for the tick time. That means many times. And once they bring this woman, lady who was abducted, and they bring her into a room on a spacecraft, and they let in young children come in, and she was saying she recognized that child is hers, you know, but where was that child? Well, this is the answer to that. because when they clone or they take the semens of people, they create a hybrid. And so what are those hybrids? They are not living on the spacecraft. They bring them down into the hollow earth, and that's where all these great deception is going to emerge from. So the mass landing, the helpers, because those hybrids, they've been programmed to do only what the fallen angels, headed by Enki, who is in truth Iblis, Satan, the Antichrist, okay, taught them to say and to do. So they will just carry the agenda that they've been taught. Yeah. And I will put for you here a picture of the fake Messiah. I'm going to put to you the picture in which he's going to make his appearance with a fair blonde hair, with blue eyes, you know, because that's not the way how does the real Messiah, Yeshua, looks like. Don't forget that Yeshua, the son of Virgin Mary, peace and blessing be upon him, originally he is from the Middle East, and the Middle Eastern people, they do not look like Swedish or Norwegian or you know. So that said, let's hear again after this what was said on that same show, and later on I'll go to another point with another person, you know, which I've heard also his show recently. So just hang on a second.
And all they are very much telepathically linked, so they will usually listen.
So we get to talking about the Greys. I think the Greys are a working class, a programmed entity to carry out tasks. I think they are predominantly the characters that are manning the UFOs, the saucers, and things of that sort. Some of them are unmanned, you know, just non-remote controlled objects. Some of them are controlled, like I say, a saucer.
Anyhow, I think they are just a working class, sort of a robot, if you will, and they carry out what they're supposed to, and that there is other thinking entities above them that would control them, and et cetera, et cetera. According to my wife is just telling me what time it is. According to I totally lost my direction here. I believe those little entities, they are what they are, and I think a remote control situation. According to many people that have come forward with a thing called the Discovery Project? I think that's what it is. The Disclosure Project, that's what it is. Disclosure Project, these guys, a couple of them I know personally. Their summation is that there's as many as 300 individual different space entities that have been coming in and out for so long around Earth, and there's that many of them.
300 different types of alien species. Yep.
Yes, I think that was the number that they had come up with. And the crap, you know, when you really get into it, and as
Yes, that's true. These gray aliens, these are biological beings, remote controlled. And according to the information that was given by Imam al-Mahdi, in the inner earth there are at least 200 species of non-human entities. Okay, so Now again, this information will help anyone who is trying not to buy into the coming deception, as we said. And this is a very long topic and people are not paying attention. But actually it is even so important the way that the crossing itself is going to happen and cause the cataclysm and the destruction. So people are more focusing on the physical survival and ignoring this fact of the great deception and who is going to perform this deception and the way that it is going to be performed, because those who will accept to go with those hybrids entity that are going to come out of those flying saucers on the event of the mass landing, they will put a condition for them, in order to rescue them. It is to accept Enki, who is going to, as I told you before, introduce himself as Jeshua, okay, with that name. And actually I informed you also previously about his mark, that it's going to be the sign of the crossing of Nibiru, or you can call it the Roman Catholic cross. That's the sign, that's the sign of the beast. Anyway, but in order not to mix things together, let us focus now on the great deception. And so they are going to come. This is, take my word for it. Please believe what I'm telling you, and days will show us. And why I'm saying this to you is just to prepare you for what's coming ahead, because the Anunnaki, they are going to come back immediately after the event of the crossing to start the deception. And those who are going to refuse to accept their offer, they cannot force you, because they are not going to point a gun at your head. This is going to be a free offer, take it or leave it, So, and that's why it is called a deception, because they will come in a very friendly way, that they are here to rescue people, but with the condition that you have to accept their father. They call him Father, Enki, who is the Antichrist himself. And if you do that, what they're going to do, they're not going to eat you. They're going to take you indeed to the Garden of Eden. But, as I explained to you before, the time in the Garden of Eden is completely different to the time that we have here on the surface of the earth. Because the inner earth, one day of the inner earth equals 1 year on the surface. So the people who are going to accept the offer to worship the Antichrist and go into the inner earth, they will become very ill, to the point that they will wish that they will die, okay, but death will not come to them. So imagine the degree of torment, of punishment they are going to get by accepting this offer of the deception to go down there. And please don't understand me wrong. I'm not trying to bash Christian. I'm just trying to share with you, because this information could save your soul. Okay, so let's go further on, and let's hear the other point that I wanted to make, and I'll come back after that. Thank you.
And these entities that do exist out there, they have that ability, but they also have the ability to help us or not. And I don't think the way the people at the highest levels of our corrupted government have been scurrying around building their rat holes to hide in, I don't think they've had any indication that any space entity is going to come down and help us out when Nibiru comes back again.
You know, all those space entities, they act within a certain pact, which is a universal pact, okay? So when you say they have the capability of destroying the planet Nibiru before it's coming, do you think this universe does not have got an owner? Of course, the Lord of creation is the sovereign Lord of this world. And he gave them certain permission to carry certain things, okay? And this is why, because the people, they ignore these facts. They think that these non-human entities, these alien beings, because they do have such an advanced technology, that they are allowed to do anything they want. And that is not the case at all, okay? So they only act within the limits of what they have been given permission to do. Now, another thing is, now when it comes to the elites, they got the order to remain here on the surface of the earth because their job is not finished yet. And the master, they call him the master, who's Lucifer, Enki, whatever you want to call him, Harut, he promised that he will come on a visit to them in order to give them the eternal life. Okay, that's what they are doing it for, because they have the hope that one day they will get this eternal life given to them by their master. Some of them, they call him, it depends on the degree in the echelon, you know, that means the percentage of the DNA that's contained in the blood of these people who call them elites. But as I explained before, those ruling our world are the descent of the fallen angels, okay? You know, and I am sorry that I have to recur to this way in order to bring this information to the people, because we have through the years tried our best to contact Steve Quayle, L.A. Marzulli, George Nuri, Bob Fletcher, and I mean I can go on, and Zeta Talk, and Marshall Masters. We said to them, there is a great deception coming. Please share this information so that the people could save their own souls. But you know, I personally don't know what do these people think. They think that we are competing with them, or what. We are not asking, we are not selling books, we are not selling videos. This is, you know, this information could save someone from hell's fire, eternal hellfire. Okay, that's what we are talking about. And if you go back to other videos, I said this information is a world heritage. Okay, we do not have the right to sell this or to make any commercial benefit from it. So my point being, these global elites, they are ruling the world because they are the descendancy, they are from the bloodline of Enki and Enlil, okay? So go back to my previous video in order to get more information. So the order for them is to stay here because they've got a job to finish. Because after the crossing, when things will calm down, they will have to come out in order to further carry on the agenda, because that's when the new world order is going to really be imposed on, or that's what they think, what they are hoping for, that they're going to impose it on the whole world, on the five continents, of whatever will remain from the 5 continents. Okay, So they know that their master is in the whole earth, but he promised he will come up to the surface and that they'll have to wait for him. So these people also, they are very religious in a way that they worship Lucifer and they carry his order. They are very obedient to him. Okay? So that's why there are no orders for them to be taken within the whole earth, because they are considered part of the agenda and they have got a role to play. Okay? So now let me go further now with the last point I wanted to make, but first let's hear the question coming from what's his name again? Augusto Perez. Okay, let's hear it.
This dwarf sun, this second sun, has something to do with the appearance of Jesus Christ and with the coming of the Lord. Of course, to us, it's going to be our redemption. But to those that are not his, it's going to mean destruction. Can you share a little bit about this and what your research has revealed to you?
Sure. Well, in fact, on the back of my print book, you were talking about the 7 stars. I'll just read this paragraph from the top back of my print book. There is no hiding this incoming solar system any longer. It consists of a dark star, smaller than our sun, which hosts 7 orbiting bodies, some smaller than our moon, and a couple of them larger than our Earth. The dark star is called Nemesis, or Planet X. The blue planet is called the blue Kachina. The planet that is larger than Earth, that is orbiting the dark star, is called Nibiru. It is also known as the planet of the crossing and the destroyer. There is another object, some refer to it as Helion. And so when we talk about Revelation 12, which I'd like to recap and get into in just a few minutes, I hope your listeners are sitting down, because I don't think this has really been widely distributed. I don't know if anyone else has done extensive analysis on it, because I believe this information that I have in the book and that I can speak of in person indicates, back in Genesis, God said he put in the stars and the systems and the constellation and what the Bible refers to as the Mazzaroth for signs and indicators for times and seasons. And the amazing thing is, I think Sir Isaac Newton, if he were alive today, I think he would use an astronomical software such as Stellarium, and he would basically do the calculus on this program and say, well, listen, believe it or not, this is exactly when we're going to know, if not to the day, at least we're going to know the month and the year. So I'd like to get into that in a minute. But just to getting back to your point on the Catholic Church, I do agree that they're part of this New World Order system after the Great Tribulation commences. And one other interesting thing, since this is a diverse discussion, and I'll get into it for less than 2 minutes, but I've recently done some research on a topic that is somewhat related to Planet X and is definitely related to the New World Order. It is definitely related to the Great Tribulation. It is definitely related to after the rapture happens and what excuse is going to come about as a result. And the question is about UFOs. Do they have any relation to Planet X? Where do they come from? And so I found a book, Secrets of the UFOs, and Don Elkins made an interesting observation. He said, I have found that some people can achieve this contact phenomenon simply by being hypnotized. And the same general message permeates 90% of the words received by thousands of people. And the fact is, of course, nobody really even knows what hypnosis is. It's an altered state of consciousness. The hypnotist can make different suggestions. He can implant memories. So couldn't other beings, whether they are demonic or real, whatever, if they exist, do the same thing while one is in a hypnotic state? So this leaves the question, who are these beings? Are they an ancient race that once existed on the earth or that inhabited Nibiru? Well, I don't necessarily think so, but I'll show you why. The fact is unmistakable, these beings exist. UFOs exist. Interestingly, the messages are all virtually the same. They say they come from some sort of interplanetary federation. They're here to help us, and they support the principles of the religions of the Far East. But why would these supposed extraterrestrials fly millions of light years simply to tell us the New Age philosophy that supports the occult? It just doesn't make sense. Dr. Pierre Gourin, an eminent scientist associated with the French National Council for Scientific Research, has stated that UFO behavior is more akin to magic than to physics as we know it, and modern UFO entities and demons of past days are probably identical. And I believe this is going to be part of the great deception during the Great Tribulation, that God didn't come down from heaven and create the rapture and let us all go home for a period of years. But guess what? These entities came and got us. So the word demon in Greek is from the root meaning of knowledge. It implies that demons have access to knowledge and information not available to ordinary mortals. John Keel, who's another researcher, agrees. He says thousands of books have been written on demonology, which is the ancient or scholarly study of demons or monsters. And Keel has noted that the manifestations in this type of literature are identical to the UFO phenomenon. In fact, victims of demonic possession suffer from identical emotional and medical symptoms as UFO contactees. So this is all allied to the metaphysical and mysticism. Many of these UFO reports are similar to psychic phenomenon and demonic possession, known for decades to parapsychologists and theologians. So I suspect they're not physical phenomena. I believe they're messengers of deception. They seem to be psychologically setting us up for a grand deception. They're only speaking against the Bible, and I found this fact alone rather strange. And of course the flight maneuvers they perform are impossible. You cannot explain it with laws of physics or chemistry. So I think UFOs are pretty much a cosmic deception, and they're going to be part of this New World Order deception. I believe they're non-physical objects that under the right conditions can somehow leave physical evidence. That in itself is somewhat demonic. It's a spiritual power of some kind for which there's no physical explanation. And so my conclusion is that they're engaging us in a worldwide enterprise of some sort of subliminal seduction. So that's my personal opinion of that aspect of what's going to happen. I think the Catholic Church is going to join this New World Order group, and I believe the whole bunch of them is going to say, well, listen, the UFOs got these people, 1 billion people or however many people that are missing. That's what happened. There's still 5 billion of us left. Everything's okay. Those 1 billion, something must have been wrong with them, and so they were taken out of the picture. So I think a lot of people are going to believe this sort of lie. And in fact, I think in one of the books, the epistles that Paul wrote, he said that they will believe a grand deception.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a deception coming, and I think it has everything to do with these fallen angels, and they call them the ETs, but basically what they are, the fallen angels, are along with the Anunnaki, which are the giants, the fallen ones, and the Phallums. And all these entities are coming, to the Earth, and they are in one of those planets, or like I said before, one or more of those planets orbiting that dwarf sun. But
yeah, hello back again. Well, after we heard that, I personally think that Dave gave a relative good answer, concerning the deception, that will maybe add more information to what I was trying to share with you. But at the same time, I find he did not really answer the question of whether this incoming event of the crossing will have to do anything with the return of the real Messiah or not. And it seems, of course, this information does not exist anywhere in the books, so he could not answer straightforward the question of Augusto Perez. Well, the answer is, of course, this crossing will have to do with the return of the real Messiah, and that's what I was working on. My last video, I was talking about the companions of the cave, who they are. I've mentioned to you these are 3 siblings. The elder one is Elijah and his 2 brothers, who are going to be ministers of the real Messiah on his return. And I shared with you also the secret of the Ark of the Covenant and its content, that among the things that are contained in the Ark of the Covenant is the holy physical body of the real Messiah, Yeshua, the son of Virgin Mary, as if he were asleep. And the day when the people are going to see him, they won't see the marks of the nails in the hand and the crossing, because that's a complete lie, you know. So, as I said, this is not a discussion, but the crossing will have to do with the return of the real Messiah, since the wall that is built in the entrance of the cave of the companions of the cave with their dog, as I said, these are going to be Elijah and his two brothers, who are the ministers of the Messiah on his return. So whenever the cataclysm is going to happen, that wall, ancient wall built of those big stones from ancient people, will be destroyed, and that will allow the companion of the cave with their dog and with the real Messiah to come out and to walk among us. Okay, but I will go in more details about it in my next video. For this time, I thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you next time. Good night.